name's the Devil's Rejects.
I'm the big-time wrestling heavyweight champion, Flex Armstrong.
I'm the connected
Rusev Day every day?
It's Rusev Day every day.
Exactly.
And you're watching the Wrestling Connection.
And you're watching Wrestling Connection?
And watch the Wrestling Connection.
You're watching the Wrestling Connection.
I hear that women gain immortality from licking the feet of babies.
What? Say.
Be connected, get connected, and stay connected, brothers.
Allison.
Hello, Allison, and welcome to the.
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
Let's get the big, of course, with the official presentation.
Thank you.
Get connected, be evil, or die.
Moving on.
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 289 of the most award-winning, must-see talk show to ever hit Bedford Airways or any airways for that matter. North, south, east, west, backwards, forwards, diagonal, sideways. Any which way you look at it. Brought to you all around the world, the Wrestling Connection. I am your host, the consumer of wrestling knowledge, the prize fighter of the Wrestling Connection, the literal breaker of Kens, the legacy of Team Kaufman, Dan Kaufman, delivering all the news you need to know. And people, like I told you last time, the Royal Rumble has passed. We are officially on the road to WrestleMania. There you go. Now, as you can see, I have an empty seat next to me. This is the day before Valentine's Day, so tomorrow, I am teasing, I will be having a guest with me. I wonder who it could be. But, as I said, we have finally passed Royal Rumble. We have some ideas for future matches that are going to be happening. So, let's get to predicting what WrestleMania is going to look like. It's pretty straightforward. We have one already decided match, a few pretty certain matches, a few very likely matches, a few people who've yet to show their hands, and then we have some ideas of who might return. So we'll start with the confirmed match for WrestleMania, the main event. One Brock Lesnar challenged by Drew McIntyre, the winner of the Men's Royal Rumble. Now, this is a match to look forward to. This is going to be very possibly a show stealer. This is going to, first and foremost, Brock Lesnar, when he wants to work, will work. And Drew McIntyre is someone who can work. It's going to be interesting watching Drew going up against someone much stronger than him, and as opposed to like a physical specimen, because Drew's very good at throwing little guys around. I can't really see him pulling off his reverse Alabama slam on Brock Lesnar. So this is obviously going to be an uphill battle. The question is, can Drew pull it off? That time will have to tell. This is not a preview. This is not predictions. This is just looking to see who's going to be on the card. And this is our first confirmed match. And this is something I'm definitely looking forward to. And I am proud and happy to see Drew McIntyre as the main event, going up against one Brock Lesnar. Now, like I said, that's our one confirmed match. However, we've already started having people challenging each other and feuding with each other. So we have some most likely going to happen. First of which, we have Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. Now, this past Raw, we had Becky Lynch get jumped by Shayna after her match that she had with Asuka. And Baszler took a big old chunk out of Becky's neck, covered in red stuff all over her face. And Becky, later on returning to the show, said she's not having any of it. You better find her before she finds you. So this seems pretty set in stone. We kind of figured Shayna was going to win the Women's Royal Rumble, because that way it would set up the match between her and Becky, which already had a beginning during Survivor Series, where Shayna walked in on Becky's interview and they had a stare down. We still got to that point. It just wasn't the way we thought we would. So, definitely interested to see how the man takes on the Queen of Spades. Speaking of queens, like we said, we expected Shayna to win the Royal Rumble, but she didn't. Oop, jumped up one. There you go. She did. Charlotte Flair. And while deciding who she was going to challenge, she said she's already won the Raw title multiple times and beat Becky. She's won the SmackDown Women's title multiple times and beat Bayley. So who is she going to go after? Out comes Rhea Ripley, the NXT Women's Champion, to call out the challenge, telling Charlotte to use her Royal Rumble winning, and basically cash it in on Rhea, to have Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte at WrestleMania. Oh boy. This one is going to be interesting. First off, unless the opponent is really botchy or stiff or can't really mesh well, Charlotte cannot have a bad match. Just can't happen. The only reason I even bring up those other ones would be like Dana Brooke or Bayley. You know how I feel about Bayley. Or Lacey Evans. But when it comes to going up against very talented competition like Becky, like Asuka, like Ronda, like Sasha, she can't have a bad match. So, I am very excited to see how Rhea Ripley is going to fare against the Queen. All right. Speaking of, like I said, most likely going to happen, we have the Rated R we have Rated RKO implodes. Edge versus Randy Orton. Now, as we all know, entry number 21 in this year's Royal Rumble was Edge, returning after 9 years away. Very happy to see him. He was almost on the verge of tears. But there was, in fact, a team-up between him and Orton. Orton almost double-crossed Edge, but Edge tossed him out instead. And then Randy attacked him later. And it is pretty much a foregone conclusion that it's going to be Edge versus Orton at WrestleMania. And good. For all the people that Edge can wrestle, Orton is probably one of the safest hands you can be in. And yet still have a decent match. Randy can have methodical, boring matches from time to time. But it doesn't change the fact that when he pulls off a move, it looks good. These guys have worked before, so they know how to work around each other. And it'll be good to see Edge wrestling again. So I really am just really looking forward to Edge getting back in the ring in singles competition. And I'm sure he's going to love every second of it. All right. Now we get to rumored matches. And the first big rumor is The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns. Now, it's pretty obvious why this rumor has been going on. It's pretty much The Fiend has been unstoppable since he's debuted. He has defeated Finn Balor. He has defeated Seth Rollins. He has defeated Daniel Bryan. He has defeated The Miz. He's defeated Daniel Bryan again. He's defeated Seth Rollins again. The Fiend has pretty much been unstoppable. You know who else was considered deemed unstoppable for a while? Rusev. You want to know what they did? They fed him to Cena. When someone seems unbeatable, feed him to Cena. Feed him to Cena. Umaga, feed him to Cena. Bray Wyatt at his peak, feed him to Cena. What do people call Roman Reigns? This era's John Cena. Undertaker, retire him. Give him the reins. So, like I'm thinking what else to say. Like Brock, feed him the reins. Yeah. That's one of the things that we're all worried about. That the person who's going to defeat the Fiend Bray Wyatt will be Roman Reigns. And I don't like that thought at all. I am a big Bray Wyatt fan. I think he should hold this belt forever. But of all the people to beat him, I don't want it to be Roman. Not clean. I don't know who would want to dethrone the Fiend. Maybe Demon Finn Balor. Maybe. That's probably as close as I can get. But other than that, if this match happens, it happens. But I'll be very worried for my man Bray Wyatt. All right. Next up, we're going to start talking about guys who really haven't had much. The SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the New Day. So we don't really have much of a feud yet, but Miz and Morrison did win a #1 contenders match, which does put them in line to challenge the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. However, it's supposed to happen before WrestleMania. So, why do I think this is going to actually be a Mania match? I think there's going to be some kind of shenanigans, tomfoolery might be afoot. I think it's going to end up being a no contest or a disqualification, which is going to lead to the stipulation match at WrestleMania. So Miz gets his match, his Mania match. The New Day get their tag match at Mania. That'd be really good. Morrison will actually have another match at WrestleMania, which will be very nice to see. There's not really much, but beyond this point, there's not really much to say. We haven't had feuds yet, so we are theorizing. Speaking of, let's go to the Raw Tag Team Champions, Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy, or I'll call him Brother Murphy, but I'm not dropping the first name and just calling him Murphy. But these guys are the current tag team champions. Good for them. Surprising considering AOP are right next to him, but that gives Buddy Murphy his first main roster title, not the cruiserweights. And it's great seeing him so prominent on TV. Now, the question remains, who would... First off, would they keep the belts into Mania, or would they lose them beforehand? It's a big determination as to who's going to... what kind of match is going to be. I feel they will probably hold on to the belts until Mania, where they'll face off against... Drumroll, drumroll, drumroll. KO and Joe. Click. There you are. Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. The guys have been feuding with those four for a good while now. Question is if they could win. Time will tell. Maybe they'll have the Viking Raiders back in their corner. Maybe they'll have an Aleister Black in their corner. That'd be very nice. All right. And tag team champions, right? That's what we're on now. Let's go to Kabuki Warriors. They've been champs for a while now too, which is great. But the question becomes, Who would be worthy of taking on the Kabuki Warriors at WrestleMania? Let's see. Well, you can have Beth Phoenix and Natalya again. You had them go for a shot. I guess he could go Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross again, but I don't think that's a good idea. Let's see, who else? Maybe an NXT champion. Yawning. Sorry, I had a long day. Maybe an NXT team. Maybe they get it out of their system and Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai become friends again. Or maybe Io Shirai makes an appearance. That'd be cool. Maybe Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir, since Shayna Baszler is already going to be on the card. If we're going with, main roster people, I mean, the Iconics, I suppose. Fire and Desire, I suppose. If she comes back, Nia Jax and Tamina. I don't know. This one's tough. But since we're on the topic of women, what about Bayley? Your SmackDown Women's Champion. She really doesn't have much going on right now. Becky's already embroiled with Shayna. Charlotte's being hounded by Rhea. And what's Bayley got? Bayley got challenged by Naomi, a returning Naomi. That'd be really cool. We don't know if that's going to lead all the way down to WrestleMania or if it's just going to cover the next few pay-per-views beforehand. Yeah, I already spoiled it, but we also have as an opportunity Sasha Banks, meaning that we could have that true takeover rematch, though I don't think either of them are at the same level as they were in NXT because they're not really trying to prove anything anymore, which is disappointing. And then, as I mentioned before, a potentially returning Nia Jax, in which I don't think Bayley will have much of a chance against. So, who knows? Oh. And one more person. Doubtful, considering what we've been hearing, but there's always a chance. Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey could make a return for a title. It could happen. After all, she was the Raw Women's Champion, but never the SmackDown Women's Champion. And if anyone would fall to her, Bayley would topple quite quickly. So there you go. But let's go to our undercard titles. Mid-card titles, as they were. We have ourselves our Intercontinental Champion, Braun Strowman. Very glad he got us his first singles championship. The question is, who could challenge him for the belt? I mean, you could go, big guy versus big guy, Big Show returns. You could have him... Oh, Drew McIntyre's already preoccupied, huh? I mean, he's on SmackDown. You could feed Baron Corbin to him. You think I'm kidding, but it's not. But you know what I'm gonna call? I'm gonna call Sami Zayn gets mad, and he will make a ladder match. Braun Strowman, Shinsuke Nakamura, Cesaro, possibly Sami Zayn as well, and a few others sprinkled in for the Intercontinental Championship. We've seen it happen many a time before. Why not at this time as well? All right. Next belt, we have our United States Championship with Andrade Cien Almas. Now, the question is, who would he wrestle? Because apparently Latinos can only wrestle Latinos, right? So, who does that leave? He's already wrestled Rey multiple times. He's wrestled Humberto Carrillo multiple times. He hasn't wrestled, but he's already now being associated with Angel Garza. He has wrestled and defeated Sin Cara multiple times, although Sin Cara is no longer around. But it does bring up Kalisto. He could go for him. But here's what I think. I think it'll be a fatal four-way with Andrade, Angel, Humberto, and Rey Mysterio. For the United States Championship, I think it's going to be a fatal four-way. Get them all in there. Do it all at once, I say. All right, and now we go from possible matches to possible cameos. Now, we've heard it from him before, but he wants his last match to be in WWE. I think the buck passed on that one. But who knows? Money can be a very persuasive thing. So Hulk Hogan. Will he make an appearance at WrestleMania? All right. So, he might show up. Maybe, welcome, brother, blah, 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 blah. But as for a match, no. Time has passed, and he must step aside. But John Cena also has potential of showing up. As for a match, I don't know. However, Tampa is apparently his home now. He lives there. And he's ready to show up in any capacity that is asked of him. Okay. And the last possibility is The Undertaker. I don't see him wrestling. I don't. I could be 100% wrong, but I do not see him challenging anybody. I do not see anybody who would be up for it. I have someone in mind, but I honestly think that Undertaker needs to be a bit younger in order to deal with him properly. So. I don't think Undertaker's going to show this year. That's my opinion. I'm sticking with it. All right, people. That is my extensive look at what could be this year's WrestleMania. Stay tuned tomorrow, where I'll have my very special guest give me her opinions on what the matches might look like. But until then, everybody, be connected, get connected, stay connected. Have a good night, folks. And bump me out.
I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the wrestle connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Oh, yeah!